Hey, what is up, guys? Thank you for joining. I am joined today by Kev, Guitar Warrior. We got another guest coming in. We're just waiting for them to come into the room. So thanks everyone that's in chat automatically. We have a few things we're going to talk about today, but I'm going to let Kev introduce himself to you first before we get on topic. And if you have any questions based on the topic, put them in the comment section and we will address them as we see fit. Super chats are on and definitely appreciated. Please like and share the stream if you can. And we're going to get started. So Kev, why don't you introduce yourself, bud?
What's up, guys? I'm Kev, Guitar Warrior. I'm just a dude on Twitter. I stream sometimes on Twitch, but that's normally it.
I mean, you used to have a YouTube channel, but
Yeah, I used to post like Naruto Cross Boruto stuff, the mobile game.
oh, here he is.
And
Oh.
You hear me?
Yep. Invictus, can you turn up your mic a little bit?
Let me see. I have the gain kind of cranked already. So let's see.
You sound okay. It's just a little it's a little muffled.
Is that better or worse?
That's worse.
Okay. Is that better or worse?
That sounds pretty good.
And that?
That sounds great.
Okay. So let me just crank the gain up a tiny bit here. How about that?
That is perfect.
Okay.
All right. So I know that you weren't able to come in the preset room before we started, but I don't know if you saw the title. We're just going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch Online expansion. Then we're probably going to move on to some Metroid Dread since Kev just beat that. And then I wanted to get into some old tech stuff and some tech stuff with you. And
Nice.
We'll go on from there. But Kev's just introducing himself right now, and then I'll have you introduce yourself and give a little bit of information about yourself and share any kind of YouTube that you're doing or want to share, and then we'll get on to the topics.
Sure.
So Kev, you want to finish up? You want to share your Twitter handle or?
yeah, my Twitter handle's at KevZ Warrior. It can't be Kev Guitar Warrior, it's too long. But at KevZ Warrior on Twitter, at Kev Guitar Warrior on Twitch. That's it for me.
Sounds good.
Good to meet you, Kev.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm Invictus Nux. I call myself a retro streamer, but I've been playing a lot of other stuff lately that's modern, but I kind of just variety and do everything. But my focus is on retro and specifically like retro tech. When it comes to gaming, I play a lot of fighting games. I'm getting into some slightly kind of race sim thing now, but like only entry level. And pretty much I'm super ADHD, so like my favorite kinds of video games are ones I can just sit down with for 10 minutes and have so much fun with and can get up whenever I want to. So yeah, arcadey kind of stuff is my deal.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's one of the reasons why I can't get into MMOs. There's too much time that you have to put into them to
even JRPGs. Yeah,
it's too much. Yeah, so we've all been following each other on Twitter for quite a while actually, but we just never. I don't know why we never did this before, but well, now we're doing it now, so who cares?
Cool.
At least we got some good topics to talk about. So I guess we'll start off, since it's fresh in everyone's minds, the Nintendo Online Expansion Pass. I may actually not be as against it as some people have been, like on Twitter, but I mean, like we all have our opinions about it. So let's start with Kev, and then we'll go to you, and we'll see Invictus, and we'll see like what kind of opinions we have overall of it, and then we'll just talk about it.
Sure.
All right. I mean, I remember when the expansion pass first got announced, everybody was speculating the price. I really did think it was gonna double in price from 20 to 40, and I think that was the plan until they added the whole Animal Crossing paid DLC included with it. I think they just increased it $10 just to make it a full 50. I think it's unfair. Not everybody plays Animal Crossing. I don't play it anymore, so I really don't care for the DLC. But yeah, 50 is a lot. But I do see where they're coming from, because these N64 games, just the physical cartridges alone for each game is a lot.
Yeah, they're more than 50 each. Yeah, especially complete in box, you're looking at like $200 for some of them.
So it's like a good deal, and at the same time, I think it's unfair. Good deal because a lot of these N64 games coming through, and I feel like they have to give us more frequently. Because with the SNES and NES, they were giving it to us like every once in a while. Like it wasn't as frequent as we wanted it. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is that like I have a Nintendo family plan, so I still have slots open. So I have like 4 slots open on my family plan.
Okay.
And I think that's probably why I have a little bit more of an open-mindedness towards it, because like if you get like 8 people on there, you pay $10 each and like you get access to everything. And my wife and I still, well, I haven't played Animal Crossing in a long time, but she wants to play again from the update, and that would be like $50 right there just for us to both get the expansion pass. So I mean, there's a little bit of worth there for me, and there's more worth, but I want to hear what Invictus has to say about it, and then we'll go from there.
Well, Nintendo's Switch Online's model it's one of those things where it's like a one-time charge, right? You pay once a year.
It's once a year, yeah.
Yeah. So the price is going from 20 to 50. Am I right?
Yeah.
It's 20 to 50 for individual plans, and then it's going from 35 to 80 for family plans.
So the main focus of this, though, isn't all the the amazingly well emulated good old retro games in the library. It's the service itself. You're paying to have the internet. Yeah, that's another situation, because like you can't even get at least until now, you couldn't even get a LAN connection to your Switch.
Oh, by the way, I've tested the LAN connection on the OLED, and sometimes I have gigabit internet, 1,000 megabytes per second upload and download, and it actually runs slower than my old model Switch with the Ethernet.
That's what I was going to say. So I heard the newer models were having trouble getting the full actual bandwidth to you.
Yeah.
Which sucks. So yeah, there's that criticism, but on paper the idea is you can play games online with people through our service, and it's cheaper than Sony, PlayStation Online or whatever. That service, I actually don't even know how much that costs anymore, because I never look at it.
It's 60.
So it's 60 and 60 with 60. Okay, so you're getting $10 difference with the new Switch for the same performance, assumedly. So that part is pretty lame in terms of bang for your buck. But when it comes to the actual service itself, if you're looking at it from the perspective of someone like me who would be into the retro games more than anything else, it doesn't sell to me, because I already have the games. Or and that's not timing. Yeah, and that's not even like there are things in the libraries there that, like, we never got, like Twin Bee on the Famicom is one of my favorite things on the Switch Online stuff. But I'd be content staying at the $20 level just to keep that, because N64 isn't. I mean, I have all my old N64 stuff. I'm in that age group, so it doesn't really bother me to lose not being able to do that on the Switch. So
I agree with that.
To me, it's like I'm the wrong target audience to be asking for it, but I think if there are people out there who are nostalgic and probably most likely didn't keep their N64 and they want to play these in a honestly, historically pretty well emulated way, $50 a year is hard to argue. That's $30 difference for getting to play a whole bunch of N64 games that right now don't cost very, inexpensively. So,
yeah, I think most of that also falls on the service itself. Like you were saying, like we still don't have chat. Like you have to like literally use your phone and put in headphones, which means you're not hearing the game audio, just the chat. And I know a lot of people that chat on Discord, or like when I'm playing Switch, like we'll do a PSN, like we'll go on PlayStation and we'll do like a party, and then we'll like switch our HDMI switch or whatever over to the Switch and do it that way. But no matter what way you're doing it, it's annoying, and it's not great net codes for any of that stuff anyway. And a lot of the ports, so a lot of third-party ports, are not done by the primary company. They're done by like another company that makes the ports, and they always screw it up anyway. Like Xenoverse 2, for example, like you can't even, like the frames drop to like less than 10 frames per second in the hub, which is like basically unplayable.
Is this a Wii U game that got ported to Switch?
No, it's PS4, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
Oh, Xenoverse. I'm thinking Xenoblade Chronicles for some reason.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good game though too. But yeah, I mean, like there's like the retro game aspect is fun, but like I think the timing is a little weird, because it's like for me the biggest draw would have been like Super Mario 64, right? But I just freaking bought that limited edition thing that they did that had Super Mario 64 with Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Sunshine, right? Like I just got that, so like I'm not really hype about jumping into 64 for like the 90th time. I mean, if they threw like GoldenEye on there with multiplayer, like that would have probably been.
That'd be something.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That would be a lot more of.
That'd be worth the $50 a year alone to me.
Just
And
for
I don't
that.
even like GoldenEye. Actually, I'll play it, but I don't like it. Everyone else has fun with it, but I hate it.
I
I've
have a
never
lot of
played it.
nostalgic fun with it. Like, so my brain goes back to like that time, and
I guess what would be the main drawing point is if they could do it without split screen. They just give you your full screen real estate
that would be
and
nice.
still have the multiplayer. That would be that would draw me into that game.
It's just, and then like Mario Kart, we have Mario Kart 1, and like now they're like we have online multiplayer for that. But I'm like, we have Mario Kart like 8 though. Like, I mean, like 1's fun too, but like when you're playing like I'm not saying all newer games equals better automatically because that's not true. But we don't know how much time and effort they're going to put into the netcode. We don't know who's playing with a LAN cable and who's using Wi-Fi, whether that matters with the Switch OLED or not. If they're playing handheld and they're away from their Wi-Fi router, like you have no idea what experience we're going to be having, right? So like I feel like they should have worked on their service before they started their like Netflix thing. And if they expected us to go that route, like the system's almost done. It's been out for what, like 5 years? Like it's at the end of its life cycle.
The Switch?
Yeah.
You think that's the end of its life cycle?
I think they're going to come out with a Switch Pro at some point soon.
Well,
or
if
a
they
Switch
do that,
2 maybe.
I think Nintendo is probably a little hesitant to call something else a Switch something because they just got burned on the Wii U.
Wii U.
At least that's
Yeah.
my thinking.
That's
But
true.
I do think the Switch has a lot more life in it than just the 5 years that we have. Like obviously people will keep it and play it for a long time, but I'm talking about in terms of like the actual supported console life cycle.
Right.
We got 8 years out of the PS4. I want to say, was it? I want to say.
From 2014 to 2020.
Yeah, so 6 years. That well, hang on. Is that from? Are we counting PS4 Pro though? Because I think
No.
that kind of counts in the family.
Well, PS4 initially came out like November 2013.
Yeah,
And,
I'm just
yeah.
talking about like when I see a PS4 game new on a shelf, it doesn't matter to me whether it's played in a Pro or not. That's PS4 to me. So
Yeah. Mhm.
That's how I see it too.
yeah. So
I
if it's
actually never upgraded to the 4. I went straight from the base model to the 5 because
Yeah.
like I upgraded the hard drive like as soon as I bought it, so I had no need to like ever upgrade.
and the other aspect of it is that Nintendo merged their gaming hardware lines. They don't have a vertical for mobile and then console anymore. It's literally just no 3DS anymore, nothing like that. It's all Switch. So I think the fact that the 3DS did so well for so long is probably indicative a little bit of where the Switch is going to go, because the Switch is bigger hardware than the 3DS, but I don't think that stops most people from playing it, mobily. It's still very portable, especially if you have the light. So I think it's just going to be around for a long time, at least another 5 years. I predict about a whole decade run, at least for the Switch.
You think before a new hardware even comes out for that?
I do. Well, we already have new hardware, right? We have the OLED, so I think we're going to see
midlife revisions. I don't really think they're
I think the way it's
we'll
going to
see
go. I think the way it's going to go, it's like how the DS went to the 3DS. That's the way I see it.
And then we
Nothing
have the
crazy.
new 3DS. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're going to do too, because there's
incremental revisions until they finally, take their time with it. Because we all know if they come out with something else, it's going to be like not comparable with the current gen consoles anyway. Because they said even if a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro did come out, it'd be as powerful as a base model PS4, which is already Nintendo. You don't really have to worry about that though, right? Because you're more there for like whatever new gimmicks they have and like their first party proprietary software. It's not really based too much on power, because like we said earlier, the third parties, like they usually are ported by different companies anyway that like specialize in porting.
And some of them do fantastic jobs. Like you think of not AM2. Is it AM2? Sega's AM2. They're a game development division, but I'm thinking of there's companies like Working Designs, which will publish stuff over, but the actual developers porting things. I think of companies like Code Mystics, I want to say, because they're the ones who are adding all that awesome netcode, to like games that came out for the Neo Geo now on PC. Like obviously it was already emulatable before, but like they're the ones developing it, the framework to make it work, like as if you're sitting right next to someone.
I've heard a lot of complaints lodged against them for that too, like saying like, why are we getting all these Sega games that we've had on every console? like because they've literally been on like every like I had all these Sega games in 3D on my 3DS.
Oh, actually, that's another thing. So, like when they announced, "Oh, Nintendo's going to get Sega titles now," and I saw the classic meme of like the Sega Ages collection for the Switch. Like it has like 50 titles on there. I was like, "Am I a joke to you?"
Yeah. And then some people were saying, well, what if they did Dreamcast? I'm like, well, most of the Dreamcast games have already been published to other consoles anyway, like Shenmue and
The Sonic Adventures.
Crazy Taxi.
Right. And even Soul Calibur 1 that's like digitally on Xbox. So they've ported that all to other stuff. So I don't know where the value would come from that either. But then again, you look at Xbox and you have like Game Pass, which I know isn't financially feasible for all companies, but it's Nintendo. Nintendo's Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have PlayStation. Like I pay $60 a month for PlayStation, but when you have a PS5, you automatically have like access to like more than 20 like AAA title games in the PS Plus collection. That was the first time I ever played Horizon or God of War. I didn't buy them when they came out, but I got them for free when I got PS5. And they also have their monthly subscription games, which I don't count often because if you lose a subscription, you lose access to those games. But they've tied it in so much now where like you need it to access online capability, and the machines are built around like online capability with like all their DRM crap that I just, you know what I mean? It's like you kind of are in like a rock and a hard place. Like I've seen some people say, oh, I don't even have the $20 online Nintendo. I'm like, well, how do you play online? Like I play Pokemon, dude. Like you can't even have access to like Pokemon Home without Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's an additional charge on top of it. But like I need it because like they don't give you enough storage in the Pokemon games to like have like 800 plus Pokemon with all your shinies and then store eggs and then you're breeding, and it's impossible. But I don't know. Like, do you guys think it has a value, or where do you see the value? I guess because I don't really like judging something based on individual like subjective merits, but where do you personally see yourself getting this, or for what reasons, or for what not reasons?
Oh, I'm probably not getting it. Just because I already don't have it. I don't actually touch my Switch a whole lot. That's personally me.
I'm getting it. I guess some of these games I do have physically on my N64. I still have it, but I just don't like plugging them in. So if I already have my Switch plugged in, my PS5 plugged in, on my PC, those are my three main things that are plugged in right now. And I just hate going between like other things that I need to plug in. So if I can just play them on my Switch, I'll pay for it. I already got the controllers too.
You guys should just join my family plan and pay me like $10 a month, and I mean $10 a year, and like we'll just go in together on it, because it's like I'm going to get it regardless anyway, and like I have 4 spots open. So if that's something you want to do, like let me know.
How many spots are in there? Like
8
to begin with.
8 spots for family, and currently I have 4, which one that can be kicked because it was my brother doesn't have a Switch anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But so I technically have 5 spots. I usually reserve some of them for like my higher tier members that join the channel. But I'm willing to add you guys. We've been friends for a while. It's fine. But so that's one route you can go if you want. Kev, I don't know if you were already going to get it already. That's fine. And Invictus, if you wanted to try it out or whatever, you can always like do it for like a year, and then I can take you off if you don't want to be on it anymore.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
But yeah, that's just an option. It's not like anything.
I think I also see like the value and definitely the multiplayer for these games. When I first had my N64, when I first had my N64, I didn't have anybody to play with. I would play Mario Kart 64 by myself. Now my friends on Discord, you can play it, and it'll be fun. I do see the value in that.
That was me in Smash Bros. I only ever played Smash Bros by myself, but the first one, I'm not a Smash player at all anymore. Like the only one I ever liked was the N64 one, so that would be very fun to have online multiplayer with.
Yeah,
I had the Project M one emulate. I had the mod chip in my my Wii, because you get like Mewtwo's like his like psychic armor or whatever from the movie, and I was like, okay, well I like that one a lot. The new one's good, but I don't play it like with people. I usually just like play the story mode, I guess, for a little bit and then put it down, because I'm like, I want to be Kazuya, and then I'm like, oh wait, I could just go play Tekken.
There you go.
But yeah, so I guess like in my opinion, it depends on the situation and what you want to use it for, whether it's worth it or not. And I can see the valid arguments with people not wanting to partake of it, or being anti-consumer, them needed to focus on the service end before they go into this whole like games as a service pretty much thing. So it's a good open conversation, I guess, to have. I'm glad we started with it, but let's talk about a few games that recently came out. I know we wanted to talk about Metroid Dread. I haven't played it, so I'm going to leave that up to you guys.
I haven't played it either.
I'm going to leave that up to Kevin.
Yeah, and, I finished it. The game's like, a lot of people have controversy around it. $60 for an 8-hour game, but I do see replayability in it. There's a couple of unlockables, and if you want to speedrun it, that's a perfect game to speedrun, to learn and stuff. I love the movement in the game. They added like the Mega Man slide. You know how like Mega Man just slide like a dash. That works really well. All the power ups are pretty nice too. There's some new ones. There's some returning ones. The atmosphere is nice. Just the way the game looks is really nice. And I ended up buying like 3 special edition copies.
Oh wow!
Just because I wanted to support the game, and I opened one. I'm gonna keep one, and I actually gave one to my brother, so he could play it too.
I saw they were selling the collector's editions at Walmart, and I was like, maybe I should go pick it up.
Yeah, they still have a lot. They go up every now and then. Target, Best Buy, Walmart, even the Amiibos.
I'm not a Metroid player, but I should be in theory because I'm a Castlevania player. So I really dig Metroid. I played Metroid and enjoyed it long before I played Castlevania. It was actually one of the first video games I ever got was Metroid 2: The Return of Samus on Game Boy.
Game Boy. That's my favorite one. But the soundtrack hits
very
so
good
hard
soundtrack. Yeah, it's very good. But in like talking to my buddy Dash Retro on our podcast, what he was describing, because he had just beaten Dread too, and he was talking about how there's like 6 different endings, so there's a lot of different replayability, but there's a lot of controversy surrounding like. There's certain areas in the game where he was talking about the almost like a stealth mechanic is in there, and you have to like play it almost like Metal Gear Solid-esque or something.
There's like an unkillable enemy in this game that you have to just run from, I think.
That happens in Phantom Abyss.
I like that though, like the whole tiptoeing, because if you get caught, you feel a certain way, you get the fear. You're like, I gotta run. I don't want to die. And I like that feeling in video games sometimes where you just get submerged into the game.
The push, yeah.
I mean, that was one of the things I didn't actually like about the the Resident Evil 2 remake, where they had Nemesis running around the whole time. My anxiety was just like through the roof whenever I would hear a footstep that I couldn't explore or do anything. So I eventually paid for the pack where I can have unlimited rocket launcher ammo, just so if you ever came near me, I would just blast them and run away. But then I didn't really enjoy the game that much anymore, and I didn't end up beating it. But we're talking about somebody whose like favorite Resident Evil is Resident Evil 5, so I probably shouldn't.
Oh, mine too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
The win all day.
I like the co-op in that game. I have a lot of
co-op is awesome. It's one of the best co-op games there is.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna need co-op. I love horror video games. Like I love them, but I can't beat them. I can't play them. I get too involved, and I'm like, fuck that. When you get to the
end game and you have like unlimited Magnum, like Smith and Wesson ammo, and you're killing bosses in one shot, and Cheva's running around in a leopard print bikini. Fun. It's a fun game.
I played it on PS3, played it on PS4, played it on PC. I'm about to get it on Switch, honestly. I love
I have it on Switch, so we can play on that. I literally have it on all. I have it on 360, PS3, PS4, and Switch.
Yeah, I played that game back when I was like 13. I'm 24 now. But yeah.
Don't make me young, old, man.
Yeah.
We found the kid.
When you guys were talking about GoldenEye, I'm like, I didn't experience that.
Yeah, I'm 38, so
31.
Oh, now I really. God damn it! All right, I'm 29 for the stream. That's it. But yeah, so I'm interested in it. But like Invictus was saying, like my favorite is actually Super Metroid 2 on the Game Boy as well. It's the first one that I played because like when you have Game Boy, like when you're that young, we really only had like at the time like Tetris and like Pokemon Red, and then like
that was the adventure game,
Kirby's Dream Pinball or something, and then I also had Metroid. So I've sunk so many hours in that the music, just as soon as I hear it, I almost cry. Like that, the music is so good in that.
Yeah.
They redid it on 3DS, and I bought it again on 3DS. But then, like, I was like, I'm surprised they never did Game Boy stuff for the Switch yet. That I would feel like that would be easy for them to like put a bunch of those.
All Game Boy to Advance.
Yeah,
it would be really nice because there's a lot of good Game Boy Advance games out there
Yeah,
that I do really want to try out.
I'd be really curious. I think my worry is how they would approach it from a tech standpoint, because like Game Boy resolution is very, very small. It's like 176
one something,
by
right?
3
Yeah.
something. It's like 320 by like 176 or something. It's tiny.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, I'm sure that was off, but it's not like, it's not something that is easily scalable to a 720p screen or like a 1080p a 1080p display screen without like having serious artifacting going on.
True.
And you like you need to have like the right kind of filtering on that to make sure you can get that pixel perfect shape. And that's me as my audience. A lot of people don't like pixel perfect shapes when it comes to, you know, emulation and upscaling. They like a soft look because it looks a little bit more natural to them instead of just sharp like squares on everyone's skin.
I like
And I think we're in the minority, honestly, but that's me. So I'd be worried about how they would do it. But the fact that they do NES so well makes me think that I think they probably could go pretty far with Game Boy emulation.
Solarfly95 posed a good question. How do you think they would approach the DS games from a tech standpoint? I guess like DS and 3DS and stuff. What's up, Devontae?
I think one of the most interesting ideas is have the way to have it so you can have dual out, so you can have your TV display a screen, and you can have the DS or the Switch actually have its bottom screen as its screen. You'd have to have a special kind of dock for that though, and you'd also need to be sure that the GPU can handle that dual outputting. But the thing about the DS is like the low screen was just like the touch screen or menu screen for the most of the part. I don't see why it would have too much trouble, especially when you're just playing Game Boy games or DS games rather.
Because I would love to have like a new version of Fire Emblem Awakening, because that's like my favorite Fire Emblem. And I always thought that, I'm like, well, the chances of that ever coming to Switch, like how would they even do that? I don't know. That's a good question. I think there is ways to do it, but are they cost efficient? Do we need new hardware? Will we need like an expansion on the dock? Like I don't know how they would do that.
There are different dock designs too. Like I want to say it was Hyperkin was making like an N64 shaped Switch dock. And it made it so the screen was perfectly viewable. It just held it in such a way that it cradled it just fine, so you could still see the screen and operate it as like a display piece. It was pretty neat, but I don't know where they are with that right now.
I guess they could also use the Nintendo app, where like if they had the main picture on the screen and you could just access the app for the bottom touch screen on your phone.
Oh yeah, your phone. That'd be great too.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
That's how we use chat. So I mean, like I guess they can do the bottom screen for the phone. I think that would work out pretty good.
I think that's more convenient than anything else.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
that's one thing.
Because they had DS games on the Wii U, and they had it so the gamepad was the bottom screen, and your TV was the top screen. But it was annoying looking up and down every now and then.
Yeah,
I loved that though. When I thought that was like one of the most coolest features about the Wii U, playing like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Using like the screen to like have all the information I want to look down, or like saying like Breath of the Wild, like a lot of people preferred Breath of the Wild on Wii U because they could see their map right below this, you know, they could look down and not have to constantly pull out all the time. So I was like, I totally, that's actually kind of why I want to find a copy of that, and that's how I'll play it as Wii U.
I guess if they ever implemented those controllers, like if they came out with a new Pro controller that had like a touchpad that was also a screen, like they had for the early, what we speculated the PS5 controllers were going to do. If controllers became more advanced and added that bottom screen, they could either be a menu or that bottom DS screen as well. So
I would
don't
love
know
to
how
see
much the tech would cost for that. Like how much would those controllers be?
$100 for the controller. If the Joy-Cons are $80, then that has to be way more.
Well, I mean, the Wii U did a hybrid console base station with handset, so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
That's true. That's definitely true. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people really haven't messed too much with Wii U.
They really,
I've played it over a buddy of mine's house, but I never had it. I had the Wii, and I went straight to the Switch. I just used my 3DS for like my new 3DS. I upgraded for like a while. But yeah, it's fun to see what Nintendo's always going to do with their proprietary hardware and their software, because they do. If they're not innovative in anything, it's definitely in new ways to game, which it always keeps me interacted with and interested in the company, as opposed to competing directly with Microsoft and Sony on a hardware and like power
Graphics.
scale, I guess.
Yeah.
And we don't really worry about it. Their first party games look great. Like on the big, I have a 75-inch 4K TV, and when I play Smash or like Breath of the Wild, it looks great. I don't worry about the fact that it's only like 1080p. You know, not all games need to have like, you know, your puddle reflecting your face back at you. Like I'm more concentrated on the actual gameplay mechanics most of the time anyway than looking in Windows like when I'm Miles Morales. But
and a lot of times like the universe of Mario is just way more visually interesting than the universe of Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
I can go outside and see that, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. There's a definite benefit to having like your own stylistic choice when it comes to like open worlds and worlds in general in games. Like it's much cooler seeing dancing mushrooms in the background than like a rainy, like shitty city, you know?
Yeah, they do a good job at making the hardware irrelevant. That's always what I've loved about Nintendo. It's not true. It's like they're punching under, you know, they're, you know, above their weight, but like they're competing with an experience versus the experience offered by higher end hardware.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I don't know if Invictus, did you play Demon Slayer? I don't know if you're into that at all.
I think it's an anime question mark.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
So I know Kev was saying he's not going to get it. I would actually say don't get it. It's not good. And I have a review on my channel for that. So if you want to see my thoughts on it, because these guys didn't play it, it's pointless to even go into it. But I did have it in the title, so I had to bring it up, not clickbait.
Yeah, that's been like the pattern with a lot of anime games nowadays. It's like, don't get it. You know, it's just,
a lot of times the IP honestly will drag me in enough to where I'll still enjoy it if I turn my brain off.
When you say anime games, though, are we talking about like visual novels or
like
no, not visual? Yeah, Arena Fighters.
Yeah.
Oh, Arena Fight. Oh, so yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like Guilty Gear Strive. That's not Arena, but it's like an anime fighter.
Yeah. Arc Systems Works always does those 2D games really well, or
fantastically.
Yeah, they're really great. Like Dragon Ball Fighters is amazing.
It's amazing.
I'm terrible at it, but I love playing it.
I'm not a fan of the game. Just I'm talking about stylistically, they just knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah, by style, they nail everything.
They have this interesting technique where, you know, you're watching an anime game, but everything is real 3D models. It's just the way they're modeled and skinned and animated. They actually look like you're watching a 3D anime. It's really cool.
Great. They do a really good job. Dragon Ball Fighters is a little bit better of a benefit for story over Guilty Gear, though, because it's not like a 5-hour-long movie. You're actually like doing fights in the story. So I kind of give it a little bit of advantage there. And I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, so that's always going to have me. I love Guilty Gear, but I think the last one I played was like Revelator 2. I haven't gotten
into Strive
yet.
I enjoyed it.
Strive is the only one I like. I'm not a Guilty Gear fan, but Strive, it just feels and looks fantastic, and I couldn't turn it down.
I may get it when all the DLC is out, so I have all the characters like at the forefront, and I can get used to who I like as opposed to who I'm stuck with. But if that makes sense.
I think I have the season 1 DLC included when I bought it, so it just downloads automatically for me. But yeah, I see that. I'd much rather. I mean, well, there's the opposite problem is if you wait to get into a game by the end of its life cycle, then everyone else knows how to play better than you.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, part of the fun is always learning together online. That is,
and going with the meta of the game, so you understand how things changed and what you have to do to adapt is like it's a bummer, but you already have a much more higher base understanding than if you were to just go into it right then and there.
It is a good learning curve, though. I mean, if you're jumping in there with like really good fighters and you're getting your butt whooped, like you're learning a lot faster than if you're playing against other novices, I guess.
It depends. I think yes and no. You definitely need to play people stronger than you, but I think I've definitely gone against people strong enough to me where they whip my ass too fast for me to learn anything.
You get like infinite comboed, and you're
because I just don't understand the game, and they understand every last angle of attack in the game and what to do when, and I don't have the pacing of that fighting game down yet. So it's like, oh fuck this.
Yeah, and then the older you get, the less time you have to sink into like learning every character, like we did when we were kids. And my attention span is nowhere near like to the point of actually sitting there for hours in training mode.
Yeah,
it's a commitment.
Yeah, so my thumbs end up getting destroyed from like just rolling the analog stick constantly and tapping R1 in those games, like hoping I pull off a combo or a super. But that's why I prefer like 3D games myself. Like I like Tekken and Soul Calibur and stuff like that. That's personally my go-to. Dead or Alive is probably my favorite mechanically wise. I think it's got the best mechanics. But
Dead or Alive is fun.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I say Dead or Alive, and people are like, "Oh, you just like the girls." I'm like, "Well, it doesn't hurt." I mean, like,
who doesn't like the so?
But mechanically, the game's sound too. So I mean, it's like
it's like for me, it felt like a weird, like a fusion between the preciseness of Tekken with the slack, loosey goosiness of Virtua Fighter.
That's true, but Virtua Fighter is so slow that it's like people are always like, "Oh, that's the most realistic one." I'm like, "Yeah, if you're." Taking an hour to walk up to your opponent and throw a punch. I mean, that's exaggerating, but
I think in general, 3D fighters just have more frames per attack, but
yeah.
So like they're going to feel slower. But Virtua Fighter, dude, you can end a match in like 2 seconds. You can just spam down kick and the match is over. Or you can ring them out too. You can ring them out.
I think Virtua Fighter just needs to grab me again with not like putting out Virtua Fighter 5 for the 90th time, and like I already play it in Yakuza, so I like don't really need a new Virtua Fighter game.
But, that was the only time I've ever played it, and I loved it actually.
In what?
The new one, the Virtua Fighter 5, the new Ultimate show. Is it Ultimate something?
Yeah, it's Ultimate. I mean, I did the problem I had with that game is they had a quest mode before when the game first came out, where you're like you're doing an actual story and going around a mini map and stuff, and you're collecting all these pieces that your characters can use. And this time they actually got rid of the entire mode, and they just charged you $20 and then just gave you everything. So it took away a lot of the replay value or fun for me. And like I said, like I know they rebuilt it up with the Dragon engine from like Yakuza 7, but I'm so over that game because I played it like 5 times, like on 5 different versions and variations of that game, that like I just want something new. And I got excited because I thought Virtua Fighter 6 was going to be the new thing, and I'm hoping they didn't use this as a test bed because the player base dropped off of that game within the first like week.
Ultimate,
yeah. It depends on where you're playing, because on Xbox it dropped off. On PlayStation, I think PC is the best place to play that. It has the highest player base. But yeah, console.
Wait. We're talking about. I thought it was only on PS4.
No, the PS4 is it only on PS4?
Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate was a PS Network. It was free for everyone on PlayStation Network, and I think that was the only place they released it. I thought they charged people for it on Xbox and PC. I think it was only free on PlayStation. Oh, I thought it was only available on PlayStation.
No, I think it was only free because it was part of PS Plus for that month.
Okay.
But the other systems charge you $30 for it, I believe.
So if you said do you play it on PC or Xbox?
No, I played on PlayStation.
You played on So I was thinking, the thing about that game was they really approached the netcode in a weird way, because it's still delay based, but they made it so they like paid to have servers just everywhere, so people didn't have to have. I mean, some people would have very poor matches just because the way that their network in their country is routed to the other countries. But like for some people were getting like. I want to say it was Maximilian Dude. He said he started off in like a server in Washington that connected him to a guy in Saudi Arabia, and like their match was perfectly fine and very playable. I was impressed by that. But any other toss of the coin, you might not get a match at all, and it could be pretty bad. So. And
then when the player base drops, though, all the activity between the servers and the bandwidth goes down. So now you're almost working on a peer-to-peer basis with the latency of the delay based, and that's not going to be fun.
Yeah. And I was hoping they were using that as a test bed, though, because I wanted to see some positive feedback from Sega after seeing just how huge the install base was. Because I think they reported that Virtua Fighter has never been played by as many people as it did like the day that they released it on PSN ever. So like I was hoping they would use that and go, use that as valuable marketing data and be like, okay, maybe we can put a Virtua Fighter 6 out and we can go with good netcode. But I don't think they wanted to pay to have the framework of good netcode laid down. I think that's what it was. I think they were just like, why don't we just like pay for a couple servers, make it playable for everyone for a little while? I think they probably anticipated the drop in the player base. I'm hoping that just means we get a Virtua Fighter 6 and it's just great now.
That's true. I mean, I was looking forward to Injustice 3 over Mortal Kombat 12 because I feel like I'm just a little burnt out right now on it. But
Mm-hmm.
the whole fact that that WB is like selling off their gaming division, or AT&T is selling off the WB's gaming division, and now Mortal Kombat is forced to like do a high like profile, high selling game in order to get the best like budget or whoever buys them. And that's why they're going with like Mortal Kombat 12. And that has me a little worried because I feel like the stories in the reboot have been so good that I don't want to see that fall to the wayside just for like an esports, like, you know, the story will come later. Because Street Fighter 5 really irritated the crap out of me when that came out because like it had nothing to that game when it first came out. And then like it's not until later on that like it became like a viable playable game in my opinion. I just don't like when they do that. Like I understand the importance of like esports and how it works for free marketing for games and really pushes it out to new people, and I appreciate that. But I also don't like when it's catered to and the single player gets left behind because a lot of like I want to feel a connection to the character based on the story and based on like, you know, their interactions with other characters. I mean that's coming from like someone who's like our age and came up playing like pretty much by ourselves unless a friend came over on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That you have to have that connection. I feel like maybe like Zoomers can't relate, but that's like I don't know, us old millennial heads. That's that's how it goes for me. But what are you guys going to talk about before we move on to tech? Anything else, Kev?
No, I think I had everything I wanted to say earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is your time to shine. So tell us what kind of tech stuff you're into, and if you have any way to integrate us into the conversation, that would be great. I guess you could start with CRTs, or if you want, and then move your way there, because I know you do a lot of stuff with that.
Ooh. Wait, talking.
Invictus. So the floor is yours.
Oh, I thought Kev was had a whole bunch about CRTs. I
Oh,
was like,
no,
we're
no,
gonna have a
no.
conversation. Yeah, no, I'm kind of into retro tech in general. There's not really a specific focus, but I guess if it pattern wise had to come out, it would probably be just CRT displays. But I'm into you know, retro console modding, repair, and all that sort of thing. I'm not super good at it yet because I don't have a whole lot of experience. I'm at my workbench. I also do it on stream every Wednesday that I can, based on my work schedule. So it's like I get to work on tech. I fix things like I'll fix simple issues like the power connector on the back of a Super Nintendo got broken off, so I had to just buy a replacement part and put it in there, solder it on, and good to go. And it's like a 5-minute job.
HDMI installation in like old consoles, or
I am nowhere near as advanced to do that yet. That requires a lot of very small soldering on ribbon cables that don't like heat. I don't know exactly how. Well, I've watched them get installed, but me personally, I'm not really going the HDMI route. Actually, I've been kind of focusing on just going RGB. Yeah, let the console do what it's meant to do, essentially, or change it very little in order to get what I want from it.
I can appreciate that. I honestly can, because I've played like my PS2 is modded, and I still play my PS2 a lot, but I have like the YPBR to the HDMI splitter to like my TV, and it looks like absolute dog shit. Like it looks horrible on like a 75 inch, and like I almost missed the scan lines. And I was joking to my wife, like I was watching one of your tweets, and I was like, I'm just gonna go get another CRT and have like a retro room with like all my old stuff, and
so I got to do,
and then put the modern stuff on the HDMI like capable stuff, because it's like when you're going through something that's meant to be in like what 480p, if not 480i, and you're trying to force it up to like like 1080i or at the most 1080p, it's gonna look crap. Like especially if it's supposed to have scan lines and built for 4x3 and not like.
And actually, if you want to go higher than 1080p to upscale, if you want proper integer scaled scan lines as well, you can do what I think the RetroTink 5X, it doesn't do like 1440p for the 1080 fill. Like for 1080 fill, it goes bigger than 1080, and then it's not fill, it's over. So it's like 1080 over, and it takes the overscan and just cuts off the top and bottom, kind of like a real CRT would cut off that information, so you get the proper integer scaling at 1080p. But I think it also goes, I think he's planning to make it go beyond 1080p. I know it does currently like 1440p, but it doesn't do 4K yet, I don't think. But
That's
that was never part of the scope. So
that's one of the biggest reasons that I'm interested in arcade one-ups, like recent projects, because like if I can get a couple of those cheap arcades in my house with CRTs, like that's a fun way to play it, I guess.
With CRT, well, they only have LCD displays.
They use LCD. I thought they used CRT.
No, they only use LCDs. That's why I'm no shade to Arcade One Up, but the fact that it's emulation, it's LCD, and they're like a third of the size of the full cabinet.
Right.
If you want to have a fighting game cabinet, those two people, me and my buddy who play a lot, we go to the gym. We have arms. We can't just like right next to each other on the tiny thing, you know.
Right.
And they make other cabinets too. Like they actually have a really sick looking Street Fighter 2. I want to say it's Turbo. Super Turbo, I want to say, a cocktail cabinet, which if you don't know what that is, it's one of those, like if you've gone to a Pizza Hut and seen the world's most common cocktail cabinet ever, the Pac-Man, it's like a table thing where you can sit at it and you have like a small little control area on both sides of it. They have a cocktail cabinet of that for Street Fighter that's really cool, but it's also really expensive. So
yeah,
my thing with Arcade One Up is just that no real CRT, and it's the size of them, and it's emulation. So it's like if I'm gonna spend hundreds of dollars, I'm gonna do it right for me. But I'm a very like small target market that I understand nobody should be trying to appease.
Yeah, I think like if you're gonna go, just go with the original. But then like it's hard to find them, and like they're not in really great condition when you do find them. Like when you have to wait for like an arcade to like go away, or like an estate sale, or like go hunting in like storage for buying storage units that people have abandoned and stuff. It's super hard to run across anything, and if you do, the chances of it actually working. Like I would love like a 4-player like X-Men cabinet.
Yes.
Yeah, like that would be amazing.
I would love the 6-player X-Men cabinet. Are you kidding me? Those things are so cool. I spent like $20 in quarters in one evening just like having the ball with that thing. That was great. Yeah.
I don't know how much that would cost though. That's got to be over $1,000.
Pricey. Yeah. Probably over $1,000 in fair condition for the 6-player cabinet. I'm not a big. I don't have any arcade cabinets myself. I don't follow the PCB prices for people who just buy those and have a jam at a TV interface.
I don't either. I just have an interest in it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have the space, but one day I have at least 2 cabinets that I want to buy and have in my house, and that's a Neo Geo and a Neo Geo MVS Big Red cab, and a candy cab, probably either New Astro City or maybe any. Well, honestly, candy cabs, I don't have the luxury of choice here on the East Coast. They're all on the opposite side of the planet, so I get what I can get. So, but later on, that's what I want. But
there's a lot of specialty arcade edition games that like didn't come to console, or they have a different console version. So like something like Soul Calibur 3, for example, it has like Hwang Sung Young like rock like into the base roster, and like has a lot more stuff like in the actual arcade version of the game. I would want an arcade cabinet for that.
Well, and to your point, though, you said, in order to get an arcade experience like that fully, versus what Arcade One Up can offer, yes, you do have to find things. Obviously, you can't just go and buy things new, but you don't actually need the full thing. Like you can just buy a straight up generic cabinet and put hardware into it, and then throw like a Mister into it, like with the Mistercade, and then you can have whatever you want that arcade cabinet to be, as long as you're okay with whatever controls you install on the control board.
I guess, and then like paint the sides or whatever, do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, you can make it totally custom. You can make a bar top. You don't have to have a full size floor standing thing too. Like actually the SNK right now sells, I want to say it's the MVS-X, where it is a bar top MVS thing. It's like, dude, it's like $500-$600 at least, I think, but it's a full like real, Neo Geo emulation machine with does it have a CRT? No, it doesn't have a CRT in it, but I've seen people who try to mod a CRT into it, and I think it actually worked. But either way, I've seen cool projects like that where you don't have to have a full cabinet in your room.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't do that until like I get like a house anyway, like in an apartment. I'm not, like no one has room for that. That was one of the benefits I saw of the Arcade One Up, just because of its size. But like you were saying, it's hard to play with other people. Yeah. But like for something in the background, or like in my office, or to like have like a buddy over and maybe just play like some Street Fighter versus like Capcom or something, I thought it'd be pretty fun. But I have to look into that, because I honestly thought it was a CRT display instead of LCD, and that kind of That
Yeah.
kind of bumps me out a little bit.
I would love to see you said Street Fighter versus Capcom. They're both Capcom, but I'm just thinking of like, could you imagine Street Fighter? Then they just
I
throw
meant
in
X-Men,
everybody
yeah,
else.
yeah.
Yeah. They just throw in like every other Capcom character. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Capcom Street Fighter games haven't been as good as like KOF games in terms of when they decide to release like dream match kind of games where they just have like every fucking character possible.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Street Fighter will just be like, we'll put these characters in this one, and then 10 years later we'll make this game, and then these characters get in this one. And it's just like the classic Mortal Kombat problem where it's like every game was just a new generation, it felt like back then.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, that's why you have people with their favorite generations of those versions of games. Like, people will be like, oh, I like the Mortal Kombat 3D era on PS2, or I like the new ones with the reboot of the story and stuff. And
Mortal Kombat did a great job of doing like dream match games. Like Mortal Kombat Trilogy, it's like that's the 2D Mortal Kombat to get, in my opinion. That's the one that's got everybody.
And they have that like digitally pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, Mortal Kombat Armageddon's got a pretty robust roster too.
It does.
But there's a lot of clone characters, and like most of it's like the whole system of like create your own fatality pretty much just means like there's no fatalities in the game. You just like do the same thing with every character.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't play that
character, especially you can make like Goku and like stuff like that. I thought it was awesome. But
yeah, I didn't play that one. I played Deception on Xbox a lot though, and I was very impressed. That was like that's the Mortal Kombat 3D fighter for me.
The thing with those games is I like the expansive story modes where like it's open world.
The conquest mode is the best.
It was not by chance this struggle came to be. But I also really like the mini games that they have. Like Puzzle Fighter is like my jam.
Yeah.
Like if we could sit down and throw down some Puzzle Fighter, like oh man. I wasn't as fun into the chess combat or the motor combat, the like Mario Kart-esque one, but I really liked Puzzle Fighter.
You're talking about like Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo?
On the Mortal Kombat. They had a
Mortal Kombat. Oh, I actually never got to play that. I thought we were talking about the Capcom one, yeah.
Oh, no, I played that too. That's great too. I love all that stuff, like Mario and all that. Like, yeah, all those games are great. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Conquest Mode was great. All right, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap it up? I'll give you about 3 minutes, I guess, and then we'll do close.
Yeah. Well, I guess in terms of tech, so I guess I didn't talk about CRTs a whole lot, but CRTs are kind of my thing because they're just something you're not going to get anymore. We're not going to find them. Nobody's going. I mean, if any more get made, they're not going to be made for like us as a market. I don't think it's going to be very niche applications, and you're not going to see the technology anymore, and they need to be upkept. And like it's cool to see everyone on Twitter finding old like good looking sets, even though they're not full like component or RGB capable or even S-video capable. It's cool to see communities of people growing where people are rescuing the stuff off the side of the road and making it so like this technology that had been developed like 40 years at least prior to when that one got made. So it's just built like a tank. It's built to last, very minimal effort needed. If you just know a little bit of electronics, like theory, have the right tools. It's cool to see all this like stuff growing. So yeah.
I wish I didn't get rid of mine. My grandfather, before he passed, we had a giant like wooden encasing one that had like consoles. The drawers that open. It was so big. And I think it was like a 32-inch, like the screen. So it was like a monster, this thing. And like it's almost impossible to move without like a dolly and like two people. But,
they were a lot of the ones that people remember for like the big wood grain enclosures. Like those were meant to be like, they're condensed forms of the earlier versions, like back from the 50s and 60s, where they're actually full console stereo as well. It's like they have a record player in them. They got the speakers in them. It's all one big wood enclosure. And it just also happens to have this really dangerous high voltage thing in it right in the middle that you look at sometimes.
That's true.
That's not even shielded and it's attached to wood.
Well, tell people some of the benefits that you find in CRT that we can't replicate with LCD or OLED or any of the new technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing, and this is actually easiest to visualize by looking at comparisons of LCD TVs playing like a retro game via an upscaler or just God forbid, plug directly into your TV and letting your TV go, I don't know what the heck to do with this. Let's just figure it out. You see that compared to just a CRT where the game was designed to run on, on displays like that. So not only you can see like it's a big difference, and like one will be really pixelated and blurry and the other one will look nice and soft, and like the colors will have right definition, but it's on the CRT that you get that where there's CRTs, like there's TV sets. Everyone played their games on a TV. Then there's a PVM, which is a professional video monitor. It's the same thing. It's a TV that just has more bells and whistles, better inputs, higher quality components. It's made to run for a long amount of time, yada yada. They made the games, like they actually had the art drawn on these things themselves. Like they were looking at CRTs when they were making the art, so you can easily see like what's a pixelated blurry mess on of a character on one TV can be just like, oh well, hang on, that's, I don't know, Strider from Lord of the Rings. You can see now because he's got his leather jacket. It's like a you see his sash, his sword, etc. You can see like the definition in his face, whereas those pixels blown up really big is just one square of like tan.
Yeah.
But if you incorporate the surrounding colors of that put through a CRT TV, what you get is so I don't want to go too far into the theory of how a CRT works, but essentially you get a way that those colors make it to your pupils focused in an unfocused way. It's a shittier way to view an image, but the image looks way more clear because of it, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that's the benefit right off the bat. And also, who doesn't want a really loud 15 kilohertz whine whenever they turn their TV on? I mean, you get that. That's a really important part of the experience.
Right. You gotta have all incorporations of all your senses being into it.
Great way of getting around that, by the way, is just using a PC CRT. If you can figure out how to adapt your normal signals, and I just use a PC CRT with a PC. Like I'll play Fightcade emulation on that, and it's fantastic because PC CRTs are 31 kilohertz. So that's above the human hearing range average of 20 kilohertz. So we don't hear that noise.
Just drive our pets crazy.
Yeah, drive the dogs crazy.
Well, I want to thank both of you guys for being on the podcast today and the live stream. And we got to do this again sometime. I'll let you guys choose the topics next time, or maybe I'll pop on to your podcast at some point. I would love to do that. Also, don't forget, if you guys do want to jump on to My Family Plan, that invitation is open to you. Just hit me up.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I don't even touch my Switch anymore, though. So, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. I might actually get back into Animal Crossing because of the update. To be honest, like a lot of the stuff in there looks really fun.
Good game.
99% of the time, what I do is I go into my aquarium and I look at the great white shark anyway and just sit there. So, like literally all I do. But my wife's like super into it. Like she can't wait to do the job thing. I'm like, oh, a job in a video game? Like, no thanks. That's why I don't play like Harvest Moon or anything like that.
Exactly. I can't do it. I can't play World of Warcraft anymore because I can't pay to work.
Yeah, exactly. But Kev, I'm sorry you got left out of the last part of this. Tried to get in as much as we could.
Yeah, that's all good. I enjoyed listening.
I'm gonna have you guys again tell everyone where to find you and just a little closing statement, and then we will bounce out of here. We'll go back to the offline room and talk for a minute, and then we'll end it. So
at Kev Z Warrior on Twitter, pretty much. That's where I'm more active than anything else.
Kev Zulu Zeta Zed Warrior, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
I think it's from like Dragon Ball, right? Yeah.
It's originally Kev Guitar Warrior, but Kev Guitar
Warrior. Z Warrior now makes way more sense. Okay.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
I am Invictus Knox on everywhere: TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I don't use Facebook or Instagram very much. Don't find me on there. I won't respond to anything for months on end if it's on Facebook. But I'm everywhere. Got a Twitch channel that I run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 o'clock usually when I can. And then I'm making YouTube videos on motorcycles for the most part on my channel, but it's going to be switching a little bit more to retro tech and retro gaming a little bit, I think, in a bit.
It sounds good. So guys, make sure that you follow them both on their respective platforms. and which for Kev is pretty much Twitter. So just go to Twitter and follow him.
Twitter's good.
On Twitter. Yeah. Twitter's good when you're talking amongst your echo chamber and not like getting the hordes coming into your content and just blowing that out of the water. But thank both of you guys for being here. I appreciate it. We'll do it again sometime. Hit me up whenever you're doing a podcast and need somebody to pop on. I will definitely be there. We do this a lot. Look, you got some interest already going on.
Who doesn't like motorcycles?
Yeah, right. My wife.
That just means she hasn't ridden one yet. That's all you got to do.
She just doesn't want me to die. I think that's like her.
Oh, I mean, I don't want anyone to die. Yeah, it's like we don't want that either. So
my wife's like, you can barely walk. I'm like, all right.
Well, yeah, that's why you need the bike.
Yeah, true. Exactly. Right. But yeah, it was fun. I love talking about a bunch of different stuff like this. I'm trying to branch out the channel more to being such streamlined by like these constringent topics because you get who you get, and then the growth stops because like people don't care if they don't care. So thanks for coming on here and sharing what you guys are passionate about. We'll definitely do it again. Guys in the chat, be sure to like the stream if you haven't already. I would appreciate it. And we are going to end the broadcast, but we're going to go in the back room for a couple minutes. So
thanks, everyone.
In the studio. Yeah. Once we go offline, and then I will talk to you guys later. All right. Peace, everyone.